We got some new Xbox controllers. There are upcoming events that you may want to pay attention to, and the console wars have gone out of hand. We got a couple of new controllers here for Xbox to talk about. The first one here being the new 8-bit Do controller, and this is a wired controller with the Xbox styling. Now, this isn't the first controller to come out from 8-bit Do, as there was this one here, which is interesting in the way that it looks. It kind of looks like the retro PlayStation 1 controller, and the big difference, as you can see here, is it has those symmetrical thumbsticks, which I am not a fan of. I much rather the way that the thumbsticks are with the Xbox layout. So there is this option here. It's wired, has pro paddles on the back, has vibration in the triggers, and you can see here, it looks like it has those profile options very similar to the Elite Series 2. The controller is going to be available to use USB, plug it into your PC, plug it into your Xbox, but you're actually going to be able to customize how the controller functions through Xbox Windows, but also through Android and iOS, which is pretty cool. And you still have that headphone jack, so you're not missing out on that feature. It's going to be available on Amazon starting today. You can pre-order it for $44.99, and it's going to be shipping on May 31st. So if you're looking for just a wired controller in the style of Xbox with a bunch of those extra features that come with the Elite Series controllers, with like the customizable layouts with the 3 profiles and the paddles in the back, this could be a good option, especially for the price. Now, the other one I want to talk about here is a very interesting thing that we are seeing here. It's a leaked photo, and I believe this is in Japan, because if you look here closely, you can see the kind of writing there. It's of the Elite Series 2 coming in the white color, and I think it looks really cool with the white and then the black grips. Kind of a better aesthetic looking than the black one. I mean, it's still not as cool as the Master Chief Elite Series 2. I think this is one of the nice controllers ever made with the layout and everything like that. But very interesting that this got leaked, and it looks like it is from a Japanese retailer. So if you're looking for an Elite Series 2, you're not a fan of the black color scheme, you're going to be able to pick up the white one. Who knows when? It hasn't officially been announced, and it may not be for a while, but they're already in store shelves, and maybe this is going to be a Japanese exclusive. Hopefully not. Hopefully this is released everywhere around the world. All right, jumping over here to some new game shows to talk about. So we have one coming up on March 24th called the Future Game Show Spring Showcase, and this is from Games Radar. And this is a show where they're just going to be going over a bunch of new stuff to come out from all the different consoles. Like they say here, 40 games, including 8 different games that are being revealed for the very first time. So that's exciting. There's going to be games we've never heard about, and who knows what that is. They're probably going to be multi-platform games. I doubt they're going to be announcing any exclusives at this show, but they say here, the Future Game Show is back for 2022, and our new Spring Showcase event will be truly multi-format experience showcasing the most exciting up-and-coming titles of 2022. Join us as we reveal some incredible new games, chat to the developers behind the scenes, and take a first look at new exclusive gameplay from one of 2022's most hotly anticipated new releases. Now, that's exciting because who knows what that is. How cool would it be if it was something like a Starfield? I doubt it would be a Starfield, but maybe it's going to be another big game coming out, potentially like Hogwarts Legacy that they've announced. And that brings me over to the next show that we have heard about that is going to be actually tomorrow, or actually today as you're watching this. So if you're watching this video right now, you can get ready to tune in at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. They say here for about 20 minutes for a new PlayStation State of Play, which is going to be talking about PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 first looks updates with a special focus on games from Japan developers. So that's all we really know about that. They've also mentioned that there will be no updates on PlayStation VR 2 titles or hardware, but we'll see what happens. We don't know which games they're going to be talking about, but when they talk about Japanese developers, you can think about stuff like Ghostwire Tokyo that's on its way, maybe Final Fantasy 16, and maybe some other stuff here, potentially giving another update on Forspoken, even though we know that's been delayed. But it's only 20 minutes long, so I don't think there's going to be anything massive in this show, which is sort of a disappointment because people were talking about the state of play from PlayStation in March, saying that this was going to be the good show, and hey, maybe it could still be. but they're also talking about showing off things like Hogwarts Legacy, which it looks like that's not what's going to be happening from this show if they're focusing on the Japanese publishers. And this brings us back to the discussion about Xbox and what are they doing with their shows, with mainly showing off stuff at big events like E3. It would be great if they started doing stuff like the State of Play, like the Nintendo Directs, every couple of months, every 3 or 4 months, let's say, and just give us updates of games that are being worked on by Xbox Game Studios, because there are so many games to talk about within Xbox Game Studios now, even older games, even games that are games as a service that have been being worked on are already out, games like Halo, games like Fallout 76, all that type of stuff. It would be great to get updates at these shows, and I think Xbox really needs to look into doing something like this in order to continue to keep the hype constant throughout the year, because there's a lot of people out there talking about how Xbox has been quiet since the beginning of 2022. And hey, if you're only looking for the big brand new hitters all the time, that's all you want to play, you could argue that, but I mean, there's still tons of stuff to play on Game Pass. There still have been such great Game Pass releases, but I can understand from, I guess, a public relations standpoint why people are saying Xbox has been quiet, and that could be solved with having shows like this on a quarterly basis throughout the year. And finally, we got to talk about this. I didn't really want to talk about it, but it's all over the news. It's blown up, and it just shows the stupidity of console wars. And I'm sure you've all heard about this. I'm sure you've already had your laugh and all that type of stuff, but it has to do with this console warrior named, I think, PS Vortex. Yeah, PS Vortex podcast or something like that, who was upset that people didn't believe he was a real doctor and decided to post himself in an operating room as well as showing off the patient's information to prove to everybody that he was a doctor. And this has really backfired on this guy, as obviously doing that was not a smart decision. People have picked up on that, have continuously put it out there, have saved the video, have spread it around. They've even gone so far to dox, or I don't know if it's really a dox if this place is the exact hospital he works at, but to provide bad reviews, 1-star reviews at the MediHope hospitals and research centers. Now, after this has all happened, Shrivira, which is the person who put the post out there, put out an apology video on YouTube explaining that he obviously made a bad choice and that he has a wife and kids, and that this is absurd to bring in his work into the console side of things, and that he calls it console passion, that he has been attacked and all that stuff is stuff. Now, it's overall just ridiculous. It seems like it was just somebody who was tired of not being believed for being a doctor for his beliefs, or just getting annoyed of people who had opposing views. And it's crazy that something like this happened. This is one of the most insane things I've seen happen from the console warriors, from the console war stuff on social media. Specifically, they say here, while arguing with Xbox fans over which console is superior, many of his online combatants questioned whether or not he was a real doctor. To prove his legitimacy, Shrivira shared a video of himself in a medical garb inside of an operating room. The video shows Shrivira, his unconscious patient, and a close-up look at the patient's medical information. His post was meant to prove he was a doctor and own the Xbox, but instead, it incited a slew of backlash. We won't be sharing the video to help protect the identity of the patient, which, I mean, that's great. I don't think people should continue to show this around. His life potentially could be severely hurt from this if he loses his job, and obviously the overall backlash that he's getting from somebody who in reality is just a random guy on the internet who has a podcast. Just like me, I'm a random guy on the internet who makes videos about video game news and Xbox. So it's crazy that it got this out of hand. The console war stuff, if you're on social media, follow me on Twitter. I don't really get into the console wars. In fact, I barely even do the comparisons between PlayStation and Xbox on Twitter, because I find it absolutely absurd. You have people, every time there's a new game that comes out, first party, either Xbox or PlayStation, all they care about is doing those comparisons between the games. They don't play the games. You can clearly tell that. And it's a headache to read. So I definitely stay away from the console war stuff. But people, that's really all they do when it comes to video games. They partake in that stuff. And I don't think they actually play the games. I'm not saying this guy is in there. He obviously got super annoyed from all of the people who were going against him and saying he wasn't a doctor and fighting him. But this type of stuff just can't happen over a video game console from, again, companies that at the end of the day don't really care about you. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know your thoughts on those controllers, the upcoming showcases, and all of this console war craziness. As you guys can see, the video is darker. As I was filming this, the sun started going down, which is kind of annoying because it hurts the lighting, but that's whatever. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.